I'm Heather. I'm back for another really quick video. This one particularly quick because I'm on my lunch break and have to very soon jump on my bicycle and haul ass back to work. So this one is particularly to do with my brand new obsession with novellas. It wasn't really something that I read before. I'm not really a person that's into short stories, you know, like ones that are 10 pages or so long, like collections of them in anthologies. I'm not really into it. So I sort of thought like novellas were a bit like that, you know, like not quite enough of a book to really get into it. But I completely take it all back. It is now my thing. I started it all out by reading a couple of ones that people on BookTube were reading and said were really good, and I was like, oh, I'll give those a try. And now I'm just obsessed with like buying them whenever I see them. Whenever I see a list of the best ones, whenever I see anyone thought that one was amazing, whenever I see that stupid stand in Waterstones that has like all of the best novellas on it, I just walk away with about 8,000. Like, I can quickly see that this is going to become a problem in my house. But the ones that I wanted to do now, there's just 3 of them. It is The Testament of Mary by, dear God, I've never really known how to say this guy's name. Colm Tobin? He's Irish anyway, and I've read a gazillion things of his and still don't know how to say his name. That's the nature of Bookland, isn't it? The next one is The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. And also Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Also don't know how to say that. She's properly Japanese. Like, this was originally written into Japanese and then translated to English. Right, so I'm particularly into the gorgeous novellas. I'm obsessed when it's just a bunch of amazingly gorgeous imagery and gorgeous writing just for about approximately 100 to 150 pages and then just ends. But also I do like a bit of a weird trip, so these 2 I thought were particularly like beautiful writing, beautiful ideas, you know, the thoughts, themes, blah blah. And this one, which is weird as hell, and weirdly, I like that just as much. It was weird. It was super weird, but I'll get into it. So the first one is The Testament of Mary, and this is one of those ones that I just randomly found on a Waterstones table, like promising me that it was going to be brilliant. And I was like, right, okay, whatever you say, Waterstones, I will charge that to my card. But actually, I really loved it. Gorgeous, amazing. Like, it makes you think about quite a lot of things that possibly as an adult you haven't thought about in a while, especially if you're like me. Like, I was raised Catholic, you know, but I put away that when I put away other childish things. I wouldn't say that I'm actively Catholic now. I never say, oh, like, you know, when people ask, I'm never like, oh, I'm definitely not Catholic, blah, blah, but I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, I'm lapsed. I'm lapsed in that respect. And so a lot of the things that I learned about Christ and Christianity and Catholicism and blah, 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 it was told to me when I was a child. So I learned it in a childish way, and then didn't really pursue it into adulthood at all. Like, I sort of threw it off when I was about 17, 18 and moved on with my life. And so a lot of the thoughts and sort of themes and things from Mary's life and the stories about Mary and Christ, I never really stopped to re-examine in my mind. They just like are fossils. They exist in the childish way and don't move on. And this book did a hell of a lot towards sort of making me re-examine that in like a sort of adult way. Like, I still wouldn't say that I'm particularly Catholic, but I thought this was like a brilliant mindfuck, basically. The story is basically about Mary, Saint Mary, the Mother of God. She's living in Ephesus while she's telling you this story. She's like in exile in Turkey or whatever, after fleeing from all of the crap that went down with her son. You know, just so you know, he was crucified. And she's basically telling you the story of what happened and how she came to be where she is and how she is. And the state of things in her life is not good. She's really resentful, like cynical, reclusive. She doesn't talk to anyone. She doesn't see anyone except for like her minders. And she speaks about things that happened to her son. Yeah, in really just cynical and disgusted and like begrudging sort of ways. So when she talks about her husband's followers and like the things that they believe and the things that they say, she talks about them all like they're part of like a really weird, scary cult. And obviously, you know, when you stop and think about it, Christianity at the very beginning isn't going to have anything. It's not going to look anything like how it looks now, is it? It's just going to be a bunch of guys in a room talking crazy stuff. She sort of talks about how they don't like when she says how things actually happened. Like, they have things that they say about like the account of what happened and like how, you know, Jesus Christ rose from the dead and blah blah blah. And she just sort of like says things how they actually happened, and they get really upset with her. They're angry that she's not like towing this new party line, you know, this new like dogma. She refuses to regurgitate it. Like, she's not one of the followers. She's the mother of Christ, but she's not one of Christ's followers. And she sort of has these people, these minders, these, you know, now the saints, you know, the early followers of Christ who were there after him, you know, they obviously follow her and keep track of her and take care of her, but keep her quiet and keep her hidden, so that other potential new followers don't ever meet her and don't know that she is not a follower of Christ. What she sees is like all this sort of power-hungry weirdness. As soon as like the followers of Christ start treating her as like an extension of the power and the weirdness, that's when she starts like retreating from the world and becoming like a really intense recluse, not talking to anyone, not participating in life, and becoming really sad and like a prisoner in her life. And obviously there are parts of it that are absolutely horrific, like obviously the account of like the crucifixion. She's the mother of the person being crucified and she has to sort of watch the crucifixion, and then in the story she has to then flee. She can't even take his body down, like she's in danger. She and her friend Mary are in danger, so they have to flee to Ephesus. After that she's sort of like dreaming about it and she's haunted by the fact that she never took her son off the cross, but then everyone starts telling her that she did, or like she had a dream that he sort of woke again or whatever, and then all of the disciples are like, oh, he really did, blah blah, and she's like, it was just a dream. Like they start like talking crazy. Like she has one conversation with them, with disciples or whatever, and they're like, oh, Jesus Christ died to save the world. Like, he suffered for us. He's cleansed us of our sins. You just like really, like she's getting like belligerent with them. Like she cannot believe their bullshit. Like she's fed up. She's like, he died to save the world, did he? Yeah. He cleansed you of your sins. Like she can't. Like she's just had enough. She's had enough of like the crazy crap. I think my favorite parts of it, other than just like the beautiful sort of words and language that's used, is sort of how subtly Mary like denies that things happened as they did, and sort of how, you know, a miracle will happen or whatever, and she'll sort of subtly think, oh, I'm sure it wasn't a trick. You know, like she sort of subtly sort of hints that actually all of this is crap and it didn't happen how they say it did. I think also something I really liked about it is her sort of as a mother, like a human mother, not just this sort of lofty, sort of elevated mother of God or whatever, but she talks about him like a mother would talk about a son. All of her favorite things about him are things that happened to him when he was a boy, things they did together as mother and son when he was little. And I love how she talks about sort of the light and grace of motherhood. Like, I generally don't feel that as a mother. I feel like every day I struggle in like that. But basically, all the sort of light and grace they talk about, like the Madonna, the mother of God, like bathed in light, you know, or whatever. And she's like, it was that, but not because I'm the mother of God, but because all mothers are like that. We bring light and life to the planet, and it's like graceful and glorious or whatever. And I'm like, if you say so. I remember, also just as a side note, I remember seeing these like Catholic magazines in my best friend's mom's bathroom when I was like a kid in high school or whatever. She had these like Catholic World Now or whatever magazines, and when I was sort of like looking up info about this book, I found a review in one of those magazines, and it was hilarious. Like this, like the person was just like absolutely belligerent, like, oh, can you believe this crap, blah blah, like, oh, they really took Mary down a peg, blah blah. And I found that to be absolutely hilarious because, of course, like, if you're really into the legends of this and sort of reading it as if she's this untouchable, miraculous, you know, really lofty person that can be touched, like the Queen or whatever, you'd never, like, talk about the Queen having a shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, I feel like I just did, and I feel weird about it. Like, I might cut that out later. But, they don't like that he's like humanized her, you know, and made her a real woman who's not a follower of Christ. You know, she's not part of the cult. She's just a woman trying to get on, misses her son, had to watch him die violently, and is haunted by it. Read it. Okay. The next one is very possibly one of my new favorite books, and definitely one of my new favorite authors. The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. I finished this book at 1 a.m. last night because I could not for my life stop reading it. It was amazing. I'm absolutely in love with this book. It's so beautiful. Like, the language of it is beautiful. The ideas of it are beautiful. It tells a story, how a story would actually happen in life, you know. So many stories are told sort of from an omnipotent standpoint, and you just accept it. You're like, okay, well, he's just a normal person like me, but somehow he knows exactly what that other person is thinking, you know? And everything at the end has just sort of like summed everything up, and everything has come to a close in like a lovely package. And that's not how life is. That's not how memory works. That's not how history works. It's not how life works. And this book is just basically about that. It's to do with how sort of nothing in life is ever known for certain. Memories are never completely to be relied upon. Information that we get from other people may or may not be true because we're omnipotent and we can't see into their minds. The world is confusing and it's impossible to know everything. And it was like obviously way cleverer than me, but I absolutely freaking love that it was way cleverer than me, because anyone who's watched a video of mine before, you know how much I love to Google things and find out a million other things. So like basically I was Googling a crap ton, and not just to do with ideas and references and blah blah blah, but just actual words. Like I had to Google Weltanschauung, which is a worldview or philosophy of a group. So normally in that instance I probably would have used worldview, but as soon as I figure out how to say this word, I'm just going to use that word all the time, even in relation to like whether someone likes spaghetti hoops or not. That is now their Weltanschauung. If anyone knows how to say this word, let me know. But also, I love all of the characters. I love how real they are as characters. They're not all bad or all good, or even like a perfect balance between good and bad. They're just normal, really well-written characters. And also, the way that he talks about being a teenager and being a school kid, like really helped me to see my own formative years as just like a step along the way to my adulthood. And not something completely embarrassing that I should 100% hate and never think about ever again. It's helped me to revisit those years of my life and remember them differently, which is exactly what this book is about. It's helped me to accept that, you know, any sort of pretension or stupidness that we do as youngsters in life is just sort of a stepping stone toward becoming the better person that we are when we're wiser later on, and not something to constantly be apologizing for and pretending didn't exist. So the synopsis of the book, basically, he starts out as like a teenager in school, and he sort of establishes his friends, his sort of three main friends, and then he sort of grows up, moves on, he leaves school. One of the kids in his school attempts suicide, and they sort of chat about that. And then he leaves school, everyone goes to university, he gets a girlfriend, and then that goes badly. Various things lead to another of his friends, like one of his best friends, killing himself as well. And then sort of goes on down, he gets married, you know, he gets divorced, he has a kid, blah, blah, blah. He's like, and that's my life. But that's really only a third of the book. Like, he summed up his entire life sort of going through as if that's the end now, and that's my life, and now I'm in my, you know, 60s, 70s, whatever. And I've lived my life and I'm retired and it's over. But obviously that was just sort of the setup. The majority of the book occurs sort of after he's already decided that his life is lived and everything is finished. And the sort of main point of the book and everything really is to do with how he and everyone sort of remembers that life. Like, there's a quote in it, He said, Adrian, so one of the friends, quotes this Patrick Lagrange. He says, history is that certainty produced at the point where the imperfections of memory meet the inadequacies of documentation. And that sort of sets the scene. That's what the main point of the book is about. And like, I don't really want to give anything else away. I don't want anyone else to know really anything about it except that. To know it's about sort of like renewing romance and getting back into your life and re-examining your life and looking at memories completely different when you're old. It's a bit of a mystery story sort of near the end, like him sort of digging through his memories and trying to sort of make sense of what he thought was one thing but was actually another thing, and sort of trying to find the value in all these things and why are we here, blah blah blah. This is like existential crap. Oh god, there's like a part in there where he's like, this was another of our fears, that life wouldn't turn out to be like literature. Holy crap. That's been my fear my entire life, and I'm still going. It's still going. Oh, I loved this one. I absolutely loved it. Okay, so those two were just like gorgeous books. The last one is just the super weird one that I loved, called Convenience Store Woman. So this book is actually exactly what it says. It's just about a woman who works in a convenience store, and her whole life is the convenience store. She's like basically the world's greatest 7-Eleven woman in the world's greatest 7-Eleven. Like, she's absolutely fully devoted to this particular convenience store. She says for her, it's like a religion where they do like weird chanting, like every day before they start work. They sort of like go over like the set phrases of the store, you know, like various like greetings and various like things on offer, and everyone says it together like a sort of singing in church. It's clear sort of that there's something like up with this person, this sort of narrator woman. I don't know if she's sort of autistic or sort of something like this. She's very sort of socially, I don't know, different. Like, it's hard to explain, but I think it's like some sort of like autism or something, where she says that she's sort of empty of like emotions and social things, and she has to sort of be filled up by other people. So she sucks the behaviors of other people and sort of acts like them and talks like them. So she'll be like, oh, I'm made up of 40% of so-and-so and 20% of so-and-so, and I feel like everyone is like that. And honestly, I do feel like everyone is like that. So like the number of times where I'd be like watching a show about someone in the South and then walk away with a Southern accent, or like my friend Katie, every time I hang out with her, because her behavior, like things she say, ways that she acts, like her gestures are so like magnetic, I just like absorb them straight away. I sort of leave there talking and acting exactly like her. And I think everyone's a little bit like that, but obviously this woman is like the extreme version of that. She says sort of the first day that she started there as a convenience store working as a convenience store woman is like the first day that she became an actual cog in the machine of society, like the first day that she actually became like worth something and sort of working in society. And she says she didn't ever know like how to have proper facial interaction or facial sort of movements and sort of features and sort of have normal social interactions with people until the manual of the convenience store taught her. So it'd be like the training for the convenience store, they all got together and like the guy was like, now this is how you smile at a customer. This is how you say hello. You know, like, and with that and the manual, it's like, that's the first time anyone's taught me how to just act like a normal social person, like how to, you know, smile and talk to people and whatever. And without that, I have nothing. And because she spends so much time watching and analyzing people in order to copy what they do, her insights into humanity are like really clever and hilarious. Like she'll sort of say, oh, so-and-so is like this. And you're like, oh yeah, it is like that. I like, when I'm reading something, I like to write down quotes and stuff, stuff that's really stayed with me. And I have absolutely loads from this book because they're amazing. But also because she doesn't have a lot of these like social inhibitions or whatever, things that sort of hold us back in certain ways. She like has weirdly violent thoughts every once in a while. Like she says she scared her parents when she was a kid, when kids were fighting and they were like, oh, stop, oh, we have to stop it, and she was like, I'll stop it, and she did something like really violent. She like got a hammer or something and like beat one of the kids, and like the parents and the teachers were really horrified, like, how can you be so violent? She's like, well, what is the problem? I stopped the fight, you know. Or she's like with her sister and her sister's kid, and the kid is like screaming bloody murder, and she's like, oh, I just wanted to stop, I want him to stop crying, and she like looks at the knife next to her on the table and thinks, I could make it stop crying, but then stops herself. Like, just like really weird sort of creepy thoughts every once in a while. But anyway, she like finds this guy who's also a bit weird and has some crazy ideas, and they end up sort of living together, and like things lead to whatever. Like, I won't tell you like all of it, but she ends up leaving work at the convenience store and finds that she's completely lost. Like, she has no idea how to act outside of the convenience store. Like, everything she did in her life, even when she wasn't at the convenience store, like eating healthy, going to bed on time, was so that she could be her best at the convenience store, you know? So she like, she's just completely lost and in a funk, and doesn't like get up when the day starts, and just sort of stays in bed all day and doesn't eat food, and she's just completely lost at the convenience store. So something I really liked about this is like, what parts of it are parts that are like exaggerated for effect, and what parts of it are actually just things they actually do in Japan. Because obviously it's Japanese, it was written in Japanese, the person is from Japan, it's about a store in Japan. And they have like rice balls in their convenience store, which is something you'd never find at 7-Eleven. Okay, obviously that's like a normal Japanese thing. But like some of the things, like how they recite the words of the day or the greetings of the day and the specials and everything before they start work, or like they have to be trained exactly how to smile and bow, blah, blah, blah. Does that actually happen in Japan? Is that real? Or is that like an exaggeration for like book effect? Does anyone know? Like, I'm gonna need to have like some sort of expert on Japan like tell me exactly what's happening with this book. Like, somebody please read this book and let me know what is actually Japanese about it. Also, another weird thing about Japan, she's on about like switching jobs or whatever, and she's like, oh, there's all these age limits on jobs. And I think I remember hearing something about that. Like, it's impossible to jump careers because so many careers, like the entry level parts of it, you have to be a certain age. Like, is that true? Does somebody know? I need to be enlightened before I can carry on with my life. I'm serious. Like, what I think I liked most about it is sort of its insights into humanity and into sort of like social culture and stuff. And how sort of when she's happy and she's working at the convenience store and she's like a working cog in the system, people are like weird about it. You know, they're like, how can you just be working at a convenience store? You're old, it's part-time. Like, because it's abnormal, they can't cope, they don't know how to explain it, so their minds don't allow it just to happen. But as soon as she's completely miserable, but sort of doing things that are more normal, people are okay with it. They're like, oh, you'll get better, you know, like, oh, I've been there, you know. Like, people that love her would rather she be would rather her be normal and unhappy than abnormal and happy. And I think that that's like, I know that Japan is a really intense sort of like you know, collectivist type society, you know, it's less individualist than sort of Western societies. But even in the West, you know, we have that as well. Like, our minds want to explain things. They just sort of naturally need to come up with reasons for why things are the way they are and sort of normalize them in our heads. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So super weird, super interesting, brilliant, really clever. I loved that one as well. Read that one. Okay, so that's my 3 for now. Absolutely brilliant ones. I absolutely loved it. You should definitely read all or any of them. I think I'm gonna make this like a normal feature of my life now. Just sort of like reading 2, 3, 4 novellas at a time and then doing like a wrap up of them. Like, I've got 3 ready to go already. Like, these next 3 I think are probably going to be my next like novella review thing. The Guest Cat, Ghost Wall, and The Bookshop. So probably look out for that installment if you're interested at all. I'll tell you if they were good or not. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any other novellas that you know of that are amazing, please give me ideas, give me suggestions for other novellas. I'm 100% into falling down that rabbit hole now. If you read any of these and have any thoughts, please let me know. I'm dying to talk about them. I tried to talk to my husband about this one when I finished it a couple weeks ago, and he was like eating food and watching television, and he was like, oh, like completely uninterested. So I need conversation in my life if anyone is interested in that. I now need to haul ass back to work. I keep doing this. I keep thinking, oh, I have plenty of time. Just do a quickie video, have a bit of hummus and a tortilla, you know, like down a Fanta, jump on my bike, get back to work on time, and then I'm like 10 minutes late and have to explain myself. So I need to go right now. Stop talking. Heather, stop talking. I have